on YouTube right now. Let's freaking go. What's going on, everybody? Andrew Wall here, and welcome to the Digital Drop. In this video, I'm going to teach you new growth secrets to grow your YouTube channel. If you only watch one video ever to grow your YouTube channel, this is it. This is not just clickbait, this is the real deal. I'm going to teach you some insane things, real tactics that actually work. I'm talking about bringing a dead video back to life. Guaranteed performance increases for all of your videos. I'm not joking. And I'm going to teach you the best way to trigger the YouTube algorithm. We're talking about all of these topics here. And why should you listen to what I have to say? Well, I am YouTube certified 4 times over. I have all 4 YouTube certifications. I co-founded the #1 gaming network on YouTube. With my team, I've produced over 5,000 videos that have gotten over 1 billion views on YouTube, and I've grown YouTube channels from scratch to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and over 1 million subscribers. I know what I'm talking about. I've been testing these tactics and secrets. I've told some of them to you guys in the past, but there are new ones to cover right now, and we're gonna get straight into it. So watch all the way to the end of the video, because I've got a giant list jam-packed of tactics and secrets that you need to know to succeed. Are you guys ready? Let's freaking go. Number 1. The very first thing that you guys need to know to grow your YouTube channel, and I'm just going to be going through just hacks, tips, secrets, all the way down the list. These are the ones that actually work. The #1 way to grow your YouTube channel, of course, is the primary trigger on YouTube, which is your click-through rate on YouTube. And how do you get a high click-through rate? Why do I have this insane clickbait thumbnail here in my actual video that you guys have just clicked? And it's because your click-through rate is the #1 trigger for getting people to watch your content on YouTube. So, how do you increase your click-through rate? How do you make that trigger happen? I've got 11 commandments that have come straight from Jonathan Moxness, somebody that I worked from, that I'm going to share with all of you guys on how to get people to click your videos. But before we get in there, let me just share with you an interesting power hack and power tip. Guaranteed video performance will happen on your videos if you swap your thumbnail. I'm not joking. No matter what. As soon as you switch your thumbnail within the YouTube dashboard, you are going to get a guaranteed performance increase. I've tested this many times across many videos. No matter what, no matter how good or bad that second thumbnail is that you swap out on your video, it will give your video a temporary, at the very least, performance boost on your content when you change your thumbnail. So when you do this, you need to systematically swap your thumbnails. Let me tell you the timelines and the rules that are going to work for systematically swapping your thumbnails and which ones are not going to work. This triggers the YouTube algorithm to reassess your content and to basically figure out whether your content is relevant multiple times in the future, so that you can release a video and then trigger the algorithm again, get more views. Trigger the algorithm again, get more views, trigger the algorithm again, and get more views until you reach the pinnacle of click-through rate on your content. That is what YouTube wants you to do. So what you're going to do for swapping out thumbnails, when you release your video, what you're going to do is you're going to basically release it, and then after 4 days, you're going to look at the click-through rate on that video. And if that click-through rate is lower than the normal click-through rate for your channel, what you're going to do at the 4-day mark is you are going to swap out that thumbnail on your content. Then when you swap the thumbnail on your content, you are going to get a guaranteed boost in views right when you swap that out. It triggers the YouTube algorithm when that happens. Okay, measure for an additional 4 days after that. And then after that additional 4 days, if your thumbnail does not have a higher than quick click-through rate than your average video on your channel, swap your thumbnail again, etc., 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 and repeat into infinity until that video has a higher than average click-through rate than your normal content. And every time you swap that thumbnail, you're going to get a performance boost over and over and over again on that piece of content, almost like you are re-releasing the content over and over again. But there's something very critical, huge mistake that you guys could make when going through this process that I want you guys to avoid. No matter what, do not, on any of your videos, there's only a few tiny exceptions. There's only a few exceptions. Do not change your title. Do not change your description. Do not change your tags. Do not change your hard metadata outside of your thumbnail on any of your content. Please don't do that. It could destroy your video. And so what happens algorithmically when you swap out your title, when you swap out your description, when you swap out your tags, it tells YouTube, hold on a second, is this a different piece of content? I should probably reassess this piece of content, and maybe I will not take some of the older things that I learned about this piece of content into consideration moving forward. That is the simple explanation of it. So let's say that the title of your video that you released on your channel is, top 10 reasons to brush your teeth. Then you change the title of your video to, is toothpaste going to kill you? YouTube is going to look at these two very different titles, which may be very relevant to the same video, and it's going to go, you know what? All those juicy minutes watched I learned about this piece of content. All those juicy likes, all those juicy comments, all that data I got about the video when it was top 10 reasons to brush your teeth, I don't know if I should trust that anymore. Because now this video says, it's titled, Will Toothpaste Kill You? So this is very bad for your video in terms of the YouTube algorithm. I'm oversimplifying, but you guys need to keep this in mind. I'm oversimplifying so that if you swap out your title, your description, or your tags, it's telling YouTube to not trust your video. However, if you swap out your thumbnail, YouTube will continue to trust your video and will give you a mini boost in views guaranteed every time you swap your thumbnail. So you're thinking, well, why don't I just swap out my thumbnail every single day on every video? Sounds like a great strategy. That'll trigger the algorithm over and over and over again, and you'll be super, super, super successful doing that. No, that's not how it works. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to swap your thumbnail so that you can achieve a higher than average click-through rate on that piece of content. That's what you're trying to do when you're swapping your thumbnail. So doing that every 4 days, which is the bare minimum amount of time you should wait between swapping your thumbnails, is the way to go. You want to wait at least 4 days to get new relevant data in your dashboard. So many of you guys come to me and you tell me that hey, Awall, and you send me screenshots all the time. I get this from dozens of creators every single day. You send me screenshots and you say, Awall, I released my video. Look at this screenshot. It only had a 3% click-through rate. My video's dying and it's bad. And then you'll send me a screenshot of your real-time analytics. I get this from channels that have hundreds of subscribers up to millions of subscribers. They're like, Awall, give me some quick advice. Should I swap my thumbnail? The answer is no. Don't swap your thumbnail within the first couple days. The real data doesn't come in. I was just looking at some videos that got over 100,000 views. And in the first 2 days, it said that the click rate was 3%. And then after 4 days, it said that the click-through rate was 12%. And so then I'm like, well, is 12% gonna stick? I waited another 7 days. It's stuck at 12%. So don't swap out your thumbnails after 1 or 2 days. Don't do the freak and bring a new thumbnail in there right out the gate. If you're gonna be doing all of this thumbnail swapping though, you need to create multiple thumbnails before you release your content. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let me address a couple questions from a couple multi-100,000 subscriber YouTubers here in chat. It's good to see you guys, and million subscriber YouTubers. It's great to see all of you. Shout out to Squad Trek, Drew MC, Retrex, and Crafting Vegito. It's great to have all of you guys here. Echo Gaming, how soon is 4 days? Exactly on the dot when it was published or during the 4th day? I would say wait a full 24-hour cycles, 4 days, after your video is released, okay? So if you release it at noon on Monday, wait Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then after noon on Friday, then look at the data, then go ahead and take into account whether you should be changing that thumbnail or not, based on whether it's better or worse than your average for that series. Wait at least 4 full 24-hour cycles, okay? Crafting Vegito says, let's say you swap the thumbnail 3 times or more. Is it stupid to go back to one of the previous thumbnails? No, it is not. So let's say your first thumbnail, let me go ahead and let's go to the whiteboard, everybody. I have so much knowledge to drop on you guys. This is just the beginning on the stream. I've got so much, I'm just chomping at the bit to share with you guys. So let's say your first thumbnail, I've got this new text tool, you guys like it? Let's say your first thumbnail had a 10% click-through rate, right? And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then let's say your second thumbnail that you released on your channel had an 8% click-through rate, and you gave it at least 4 days. Okay, this is the science behind making your YouTube channel grow. This is the real deal. And let's say the third one you released on your channel had like a 7.5% click-through rate, right? So the question is, should you go back to your first thumbnail? Let's say your first thumbnail is below your channel average and your channel average is 12%. And you're like, I just cannot get a freaking thumbnail that is as good as my normal thumbnails. It is totally acceptable to go back to the first thumbnail that was the highest performer out of all 3 tests that you had on your channel. Because here's some knowledge for you. Sometimes your video, the just concept behind your video isn't good enough to exceed your channel average for your click-through rate. Sometimes the concept itself just isn't that interesting, or it isn't as interesting as your average video. So therefore, you can't get above that channel average of 12% in this example, and so 10% may be the maximum that you could achieve. Okay? So if you've tried thumbnail 1, thumbnail 2, thumbnail 3, and you just can't get above that channel average, stop beating yourself up. Just implement the best thumbnail out of all of them and then move on to other videos that you could improve performance on, okay? That is the way to go. Thank you for the question, Crafting Vegito. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I have more for you guys. There's also another systematic way to change out your thumbnails that can guarantee growth on your channel. So let's say you release a video on your channel and it's like a part of your main series that you do, and it just does average, which is good, right? If your videos are doing pretty average, or even if it does just slightly above average, what should you do in that scenario? So let's go back to the whiteboard. So let's say that video, let's say your channel average is 12% for your click-through rate. And let's say you release a video and it got a 13% click-through rate. That's good, that's above average. Should you swap the thumbnail at that point? Well, I've got something to tell you guys. The answer to that is yes, you should swap your thumbnail, but not at the 4-day mark. Because clearly this video did pretty well in this example within the first few days, right? It did better than average within the first few days, so that's a very good thing. But what you want to do at the 28-day mark, so 28 days, a full month after you release that video, you'll want to go ahead and swap that thumbnail no matter what at the 28-day mark. Why do you want to do that? Well, it's because your video isn't as fresh anymore, and as you guys know, YouTube rewards content that is fresh and is newer, generally speaking. And at the 28-day mark, go ahead and do one swap, and go ahead and test that swap to see whether it has a higher percentage click-through rate than your original thumbnail. This will reinsert, if you will, I'm going to simplify, but this will reinsert your thumbnail back into the YouTube algorithm a month after release and give you another boost in views and another chance, if you will, to be suggested in the algorithm at the 28-day mark. Systematically doing this, think about this. Go with me on this. This is like next level strategy here, guys, that you guys need to think about. Game Vestment, it's good to see you. In chat, Reaper, welcome. Frosty, it's great to see all these YouTubers in chat. But think about this. If you are releasing a video, for example, on your channel every single day, right? And so over the course of 30 days, you've got, basically every single day, every day there's a new video. So we'll just say every day, there's an everyday new to represent this idea, okay? Then what you can also do every day is you can also have every day, you can have a new thumbnail. And so the point of me telling you this is, let's say at the Let's say you release your first video at noon every single day. Bam, you're triggering the YouTube algorithm with a new piece of content, new notifications, your subscribers are being notified, you're getting new suggested, new impressions from that new video. Then, a video that you released 28 days ago, let's say at 6 p.m. that day, you then swap the thumbnail on that video. Then you're triggering the algorithm again at 6 p.m. on your channel with a new thumbnail from an older video that was from 28 days ago. So instead of triggering the YouTube algorithm once per day, because you're releasing one video per day, you're triggering the YouTube algorithm twice per day. Once at noon and then once again at 6 p.m. every single day, giving you basically double the opportunities to get your content discovered. Now, of course, a YouTube thumbnail swap is not as good of a trigger, of course, as releasing a new video. A new video is the ultimate trigger for the YouTube algorithm. So think about releasing your new video as like a big trigger for the YouTube algorithm, and then think about swapping that thumbnail at 6 p.m., for example, later on in the day as a little mini trigger. So you get that boost, then you get a little mini boost. Then the next day you get that boost, and then the next day you get that mini boost. You see what I'm talking about? Why are you just doing one trigger for the algorithm every day when you should be doing two, everybody? Now, in order to do that, that is more work, of course. And so let's take a step back. I just got into all those interesting tactics and secrets and hacks. Let's take a step back. So in order to make this happen, you have to rethink your workflow and rethink your process on how you create thumbnails and you create content. And welcome to everybody in chat. It's so great to see all of you guys here. So let's talk about how to rethink that process. This is the real secret sauce of making a YouTube channel work. Okay, so instead of doing this process, which I'm sure that you guys do, instead of recording a video and then creating a thumbnail for that video and then releasing that video, that's your normal process, right? Sounds good. Sounds pretty straightforward. Job's done. That's what everybody's doing. This is your normal process, right? I'm going to suggest a shift in your entire process so that you can get an advantage over every other YouTuber out there. And there's millions of YouTubers competing for the same views that you are. Let's throw this process in the garbage and follow me for a minute. Let's go with a upgraded process. The first step shouldn't be recording your video. It should be coming up with 2 thumbnail concepts before you even record your video, because your click-through rate is your most important statistic on YouTube. And so why wouldn't you focus on the most important statistic when you're planning your content and before you even hit record? So before you hit record, plan 2 thumbnail concepts first. Then record your video based on those thumbnail concepts. Okay? So don't record a video and then after you record the video go, crap, now I have to figure out to make a thumbnail for this. You're basically, when you do that, putting the most important thing for success on YouTube, your thumbnail and your click-through rate, on the back burner, and putting only the second most important thing on YouTube, your retention rate, on the front burner. You need to switch those 2 things right now and switch your thinking right now, because that click-through rate is more important. So you come up with 2 thumbnail concepts, then you record your video, then you actually make the 2 thumbnails, right? That's the flow of your work now. Then you release your video and with thumbnail number 1, and then at the 28-day mark, you swap your thumbnail systematically. You guys see the process? You guys see what I'm talking about? That's the new process. That's the new strategy. This is what's going to give you an advantage over your competitors. Your competitors are triggering the YouTube algorithm once per day like peasants. They are YouTube peasants. You're triggering the YouTube algorithm twice per day. You're coming up with thumbnail concepts before you record. You're preparing those 2 thumbnails at the same time. You're being more efficient and you're getting an advantage over competing YouTube channels, and your channel's going to take off as a result and your competitors are not. You guys feel me? You see where I'm coming from there? But wait, there's more. All right, so not only can this boost a piece of content that does a little bit below average, not only can swapping thumbnails boost a piece of or fix a piece of content that's kind of wobbling in terms of their performance, but swapping out the thumbnail can bring a dead video back to life. So let's say you released a video on your channel like 3 months ago. And after 3 months, that video is getting like 5 views a day. Whereas normally your videos get thousands of views per day when you release your videos, right? That video's dead, right? Move on. The answer to that is no. Even 120 days later, even a year later, you can change the thumbnail on your video. It will reinsert that video back into the YouTube algorithm, and then that video can take off and get a life of its own. I've released content on the channels that we manage as a part of my job, and in the first 30 days, the piece of content got less than 10,000 views, and we're saying to ourselves, that is a dud. And then 128 days later, it's at 50,000 views. 2 years later, 500,000 views. What happened? That didn't used to happen on YouTube. Back in the day on YouTube, you knew what the performance of your video was going to be right out the gate. It was either a hit or it was a stinker. That was it, just that simple. YouTube now rewards algorithmically. This is direct from the VidCon keynote. Daryl Eves talked about this, great YouTube channel, where at the 128-day mark, you can get a significant amount of views now. YouTube's algorithm's now going back to old videos, to old inventory, to old stuff that you had on your channel a long time ago, and it'll give it a second shot. And the best way to give that content a second shot is by swapping the thumbnail, not the title, description, and tags. Question from Crafting Vegito. You had a video that started randomly performing again out of nowhere. It's an old video. There you go, case in point. Would it be risky to swap the thumb? No one wants to kill a video that's getting views. So if you have an old video that's now getting views again, and it just started getting views, that's actually the perfect time to swap the thumbnail again. Because now it's got some traffic that you have. You swap the thumbnail to get a little bit, give it a little mini boost, and then it could push it over the edge from getting a little bit of extra traffic from the past to now being a mega hit again. Oops, just hit my microphone. To being a mega hit again and taking off in the algorithm. That is actually precisely the perfect point to go to an older video and swap the thumbnail, is when it gets a little mini boost and you're like, why did that just get a little bit of views? It looks like there's some interest here. It looks like the algorithm wants a piece of the action. All right, swap the thumbnail right then. You're gonna punch through with that old piece of content, and now your historical videos are getting views, and your new videos, and you're systematically swapping your thumbnails. Your channel is now gangster. Your channel is now way better than your competitors. Your YouTube strategy and your game is way beyond everyone else. But wait, there's more. How do you actually systematically create thumbnails that are good? How do you systematically trigger click-through rate no matter what? Isn't creating great thumbnails just magic? Isn't it just a shot in the dark and you have no idea what's going to work or not? The answer to that question is a resounding no. There are 11 very specific things that you can do with your thumbnails to systematically win on YouTube. I'm going to cover them right now. Big credit goes to, I worked with John to help create this list, but John gets the majority of the credit. His name is Jonathan Moxness, created this list. We did a live stream on the Broadband TV MCN channel talking about this. I'm going to cover some of these items right now, the highlights right now, to tell you about the things that you need to systematically put into your thumbnails to ensure they are successful, not just hope people click. Okay? The number one thing that you need to do, of course, always, is focus with your thumbnails on making people click. Now, you're like, hold on a second, that's obvious. No, it's not. 95% of people do not focus on making people click as their primary priority with their thumbnail. I know that sounds ridiculous. I bet you even do it. And that's people being scared of clickbait. And so I've talked about this a number of times on the channel. Being scared of getting people to click is basically being scared of being successful on YouTube. You have to get people to click. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good your video is or not. And so I always bring up this example. This is the extreme example on YouTube, but Ali A is a master of getting people to click. You may disagree with what he does ethically. You may disagree with what he's doing with his thumbnails. And you may be jealous that he's getting 2 to 4 million views per video on YouTube. But he is the perfect example of someone who is focusing on making people click as his #1 priority. So I'm not saying you need to go full, oh, or you need to go full, oh, or full, oh, in every thumbnail and get totally ridiculous and maybe sacrifice some of your integrity, okay, in the process. But this is a perfect case in point of someone who's focusing on making people click as their primary priority, and it generates massive success for Ali A, where he's able to get to the top of the list for the most competitive trend on all of YouTube. In fact, the most competitive trend in the history of the internet. It's up to this point. If you look at Fortnite compared to every other trend on Google Trends, it is so incredibly competitive. He is focusing on making people click as his #1 priority. Then when you get into his video, he'll hook you and keep you. That's #1 for systematically making great thumbnails. Do not be afraid of clickbait, but do not fool viewers. Do not misrepresent your content, okay? That is something that's really, really important. Okay, item #2 for systematically creating great thumbnails, and we're gonna pull up Ali A as another example, is do not repeat your title in your thumbnail. Now, there are some exceptions to this, but I would recommend not repeating your title in your thumbnail, because your thumbnail is a unique opportunity to get clicks. And it is really the main thing that people are gonna see on mobile. Your title is an entirely separate opportunity to get clicks. Think of it as a separate opportunity to get clicks, and maybe a complementary element to get clicks on top of your thumbnail. So as you can see, in this this thumbnail kind of repeats it a little bit, but there is, here you go. Here's a great example right here. This thumbnail says new and matchmaking options, and he's super excited. And then the new Fortnite cheats? So as you can see, it's not repeating precisely the same information in the text in the thumbnail as it is in the actual title of the thumbnail. It's differentiated. And this one right here, right? Don't repeat, if he put, I bought a $500 rare skin and this happened in the text of his thumbnail, and then the text of the title said, I bought a rare skin and blah, 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 and this happened, you are wasting one of these two opportunities to get a click. Differentiate those two things, make each of those two things a unique opportunity to get a click on YouTube. Use all of that real estate, because that's all you got. If people don't click after they see your thumbnail, or they don't click after they see your title, your video is dead. I'm so sorry, but it is. But wait, there's more. All right, creating a singular focus in your thumbnails is critical to success on YouTube. I see so many channels and so many YouTubers are like, what am I doing wrong on my channel? What am I doing wrong? And then they send me their thumbnails. It's got 4 faces in it. It's got a crazy background with all kinds of patterns in it and what have you. And it's just ridiculous. Well, you know what? The #1 reason why circles and arrows exist on YouTube is because they systematically create a singular focus in their thumbnails. The reason why somebody like Ali A is looking at one particular thing in his thumbnail, he's looking right here at this thing, is because it creates a singular focus, okay? And so that's why putting a face into a thumbnail, that's why using a circle and an arrow on YouTube, though it is infamous, it works because it creates a singular focus. Because, why does that matter? Because when people are scrolling down, especially on their mobile feed on YouTube, and they're looking for content, your video is gonna get 1 second tops as you're scrolling through that feed. You're gonna get 1 second maximum as people are going down the list right here and people are looking for something interesting. If you have 5 different things for somebody to look at in your thumbnail, even 4 different things, even 3 different things, that's too many things because your competitors are gonna create one thing to look at, the most interesting thing to look at in their thumbnail. They're gonna get the click and you're gonna get jack squat. So creating a singular focus in your thumbnails is another critical element to systematically winning on YouTube. Shouldn't you use tag-like titles though, is the question from Frosty? Great question. So there are 2 different strategies that you can use when creating titles. Let's go back to the whiteboard. So there are 2 different title strategies and 2 different thumbnail title strategies to think about. The primary strategy number 1, this is very important for you guys to know because every thumbnail and title strategy is not the same. Strategy number 1 is more or less a suggested strategy, okay? So we'll call it a suggested strategy. The second strategy is a search strategy. Now, obviously, there's some crossover between these 2 things, but these 2 things require 2 different types of thumbnails and titles, basically, with 2 different types of emphasis. So the suggested strategy, you're gonna wanna focus primarily on high clickability. Telling people a little bit in the thumbnail and teasing them, telling people a little bit in the title and teasing them, and getting them to click so that you can then hook them in the video and they can watch an entertaining piece of content, whatever. A search strategy is very different from that. A search strategy, you're going to be packing your title with the most SEO-rich search terms that you can. And you're going to be packing, you're going to be packing the beginning of your title with the most important search terms. You're not going to leave too much to wonder what's inside the video. Let me show you some examples to show you exactly what I'm talking about so you know what's up. So, first things first, suggested strategy, you're gonna look at somebody like Ali A for suggested strategy. He's all about teasing something and you have no idea what's gonna be inside that video, and so he gets big suggested views off of that, like, what's inside the cube? Question mark, and he's like, oh, in his thumbnail with his face, right? This is all about suggested views. The search traffic on this, he might be getting Cube and Fortnite, but this is really not a search traffic strategy. This is a suggested strategy. It's creating mystery. It's creating clickability. It's making people freaking click to find out what's under the hood on that video and leaving certain critical elements to mystery, right? That's a suggested thumbnail and title clickability strategy. But wait, there's more. So let's tie in the classic how to tie a bow tie example on YouTube. And this is a totally different strategy. This is a search strategy. So notice how this gangster video right here that got 5.8 million views right here. Let me pull out my pen so you make sure, oh, let me go up so you can see it. See that one right above my head? That gorgeous thumbnail right there and that gorgeous title combination? Totally different strategy, right? They're not leaving anything to mystery here. They're not saying, you know, you won't believe what's going to happen when this guy ties his bow tie, or what is the mystery behind blah, 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 or what are the 7 secrets to having a great bow tie look, right? That's not the search strategy. That's not how you do search correctly. Correct search is you show the thing that you show the end result in the thumbnail. Check. The end result in this example is a fantastic looking tied bow tie on a good look. That's why you would search how to tie. That's why you would search for how to tie a bow tie. So you show the end result in the thumbnail. Then in the title of your video, you're as straightforward about precisely what you're going to be teaching. How to tie a bow tie, men's fashion. 2 critical search terms right here. Number 1, bow tie, and number 2, men's fashion. Job's done. That is completely different than a suggested strategy where you're trying to generate clickability. Cool? Very different things, very important to differentiate those 2 things. If you're trying to teach people how to do something on YouTube, don't tease it. Just freaking teach them the thing. That's what they want. That's what they're searching for. They want to look through their feed when you're searching for how to do something and find a video that looks credible and looks like it will give them the end result they're looking for, not some sort of mystery. I hope that makes sense. But wait, there's more. So, if you want to stand out on YouTube and you want your thumbnails to be clicked versus everybody else's thumbnails, you need to systematically put your thumbnails next to theirs and figure out whether your thumbnail would be more clickable or not. So let me share with you an example of how to do that. So let's say I'm trying to get the #1 search result for how to tie a bow tie. I'm going to take a screenshot of how, this is next level secrets here, guys. This is how you do this systematically. You take a screenshot of how to tie a bow tie, you bring in whatever photo editor that you have, and you drop that right here into your photo editor. There it is, all right? Then you create your thumbnail, all right? Once you create your thumbnail, you guys, this is really, really important. You're gonna wanna put your thumbnail in your photo editor right next to all of the competitor thumbnails. Now I'm gonna bring in a thumbnail that is not related to these topics, but I'm just gonna bring it in here. Here we go. There's my ridiculous clickbait thumbnail. Bam, I'm gonna bring it in right here. Then you're gonna put your thumbnail in next to the competitor thumbnails. Bam. And then you're going to ask yourself, you're gonna ask your friends, is my thumbnail standing out from the list? Is my thumbnail differentiated from my competitors? This is what the pros do. This is what Ali A does. This is what Typical Gamer does. This is what the big channels do. If you want to be next level about your thumbnails and grow your channel, this is freaking it. This is what you have to do. Put your thumbnail next to the competitors. Are your colors differentiated? Is your composition differentiated? Is your title differentiated? Are you standing out in a significant way? The only way to know that is by literally putting your thumbnail you just created next to the competitors and looking at it. And if you see that your thumbnail that you have right here when you're comparing yours to others in Photoshop or in Paint.net is the same or isn't better than a competitor, then go back to the drawing board and make one that is. It's that freaking simple. You just take a screenshot, you pop your thumbnail in there, you do a side-by-side comparison, and you're gonna wanna be looking at critical elements like I said a moment ago. You're gonna want a unique title. You're gonna want unique colors, and you're also gonna want a unique composition. And most importantly, above all of this, you're going to want to communicate more value than all of your competitors. So let me talk about what that means. So let's say in this how to tie a bow tie example, you wanted to get the #1 search result for how to tie a bow tie. Great. How do you get that extremely competitive search term? So let's say, and this is just a generic example, but let's say these are all how to tie a bow tie. But, oh my gosh, look at this perfect example. Why does this guy have the #1 search result for how to tie a bow tie, whereas this guy only has the #2 search result for how to tie a bow tie? What is the difference between these two? Can you identify the difference in why the Pursuit Yourself has #1 and Howcast has #2? I can tell you exactly why. This is how you systematically grow your channel, guys. This is not theory. This is how you think about it. Think about it for a second and I'll tell you the answer. See if you can identify the answer. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Because this is a really next level YouTube title tip that you guys can use. Are you ready? The reason why the top one has the #1 search result is because they did the exercise I'm just sharing with you right now. The second video here is only teaching you how to tie a bow tie. That's pretty good. But you know what the #1 video is doing here? It's teaching you how to tie a perfect bow tie. Wow! What's better than tying a bow tie? Tying a perfect bow tie, of course, is better. They win. So, how can you... I'm serious, that's why that got more views. Think about it within your niche. Let's say somebody you're competing against has got a gaming channel, and they made a, 10 tips for new players in such and such game. and they have the #1 search result for that game. Well, what if you wanted to make a 10 tips for that particular game? You could do top 10 best tips for such and such game. You now stand out from your competitor just by switching your title. Top 10, something like rare secrets for getting better at such and such game. That's better than just tips. Rare secrets are better than just tips. And so by thinking about your competitor has set the bar right here in terms of how they got that #1 search result for a particular term, why aren't you taking that just to the next level like these guys did? How to tie a bow tie is good, but what's even better is how to tie a perfect bow tie. You guys get it? You can use this for any type of video that you're trying to get a #1 search result for to set yourself apart just by using better titling strategy. By elevating your mindset, by elevating your tactics, you can get the advantage on your competitors. It's that freaking simple. But wait, there's more. I have even more. Let me check the time and make sure. Okay, I do have time to give you even more. I've got even more mind-blowing tactics to share with you guys. But wait, there's more. What is another thing that is critical to getting lots and lots of views on YouTube? Well, you guys see everybody using it, and this is something that you guys need to take into serious account. Why do people put their face into thumbnails? Why do they put their face into thumbnails? And the reason is, faces get clicks. Faces are more engaging than any other thing that you could possibly have on the planet. Because human beings are programmed from the ground up to care the most about other human beings. A smiling face is the most catching thing that you can put somewhere, or a shocked face. We're literally hardwired from the ground up to read other people's faces, this particular design configuration, if you will, if you want to get deep on it, as the #1 most interesting thing possible. So I've been doing an experiment on my channel where I deliberately made thumbnails that did not have my face in them here in this section. It's just pictures of things, arrows to things, text to things. I did that on purpose. Now I'm experimenting with me putting my face into my thumbnails to see what the performance increase is. Guess what happened the second I put my face in my thumbnails, friends? My click rate tripled. It's that freaking simple. So if you have your face in your content, if you're on webcam, if you're going direct to cam like I am right now, you need to be sitting down, here's another next level tactic for you, and doing a photo session of yourself so that you can systematically use your face in your thumbnails. Let me show you what I did, because it can take a lot of time to do this. Check it out. Here's all of my green screen shots I took the other day in 4K. See, it's me. Let me see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see it a little bit bigger. You guys should be doing this immediately. Okay, film yourself doing smiley faces, looking to the side, pointing at the camera, pointing to the side over here, looking like you're intrigued, looking like you're giving pound. I did that on a thumbnail the other day. Looking like you're angry, looking to the side like you're holding something, doing this thing where you're looking like you're annoyed, doing this thing where you're double pointing over here to the side, doing this thing where you're going, oh, does that look familiar? You guys just click that thumbnail right now on YouTube. Guess what? I'm getting more clicks on this video because I did shocked face. That's the #1 reason why you're here. This is the same next level information I bring to you guys every single video. But the reason why I have triple the concurrent viewers right now watching me right now is because I put a face in my thumbnail. That's the reason why you clicked. I'm doing the experiment right now so I can gather this data and I can literally show it to you. I did a stream just like this a month ago, and I'm going to show you the A versus B comparison of stream 1 that had no face had these results. Stream 2 that had that shocked face in the thumbnail had triple the results. I'm proving my point right now because you're watching this one and you weren't watching the last one. Faces and thumbnails drive higher clicks, just straight up. All right, and let's talk about the other thing that generates more clicks on thumbnails that is going to bring you big success on YouTube, and that is having a minimal number of elements and minimal text in your thumbnails as often as possible. So a lot of people want to write a freaking book in their thumbnail. They want to make sure that every piece of information possible is in their thumbnail so that they can succeed. I'm telling you from experience that that doesn't work. You want to minimize the amount of text in your thumbnails to the absolute minimum possible to communicate the concept. Then you can use your title at that point to communicate the rest of the concept to use all the real estate. So let me show you what we're doing on TGN, a channel that we built that has over 1 million subscribers. Jonathan Moxness, master of thumbnails, does this. You notice how much text is in these thumbnails? Trick or treat, 3 words. Will Hero 29 save us? All right, wait, what were you expecting? These titles, these text here controls Night City. The text in these thumbnails does not completely explain everything that the video is about. If you read the text in the thumbnail and then you go down to the text in the title clarifies what the text in the thumbnail told you to give you a better and more complete idea of what that video is about. So use the real estate in your title and in your thumbnail to bring all of the text to the table. Don't use your thumbnail to tell the entire story. This is really, really important until they eliminate titles being displayed on mobile, which may happen eventually. I'm gonna Nostradamus predict that happening. Then you need to use all of that real estate. Try to reduce the amount of text that you have on your thumbnail to 5 words maximum if you can help it. But wait, there's more. All right, so what is the optimal length for your title? And what is the optimal number of elements that you have in your thumbnail that is going to systematically generate more traction for you on YouTube? You guys ready? Or if you guys are enjoying this, please share this video. Please retweet the tweet I sent out on Twitter. Please tell your creator friends. This is an entirely word of mouth thing right here. I'm giving you all this knowledge for freaking free. Please help me get the word out to other creators. Here's the optimal title length. The optimal title length is, I'm gonna type it in right here. So you guys can remember this. You can go back and watch this video later, is 50 characters. 50, I'm gonna put characters, right? That is the optimal title length. Now, why is 50 characters the optimal title length? Do you guys know the answer? Post it in chat. So the title length needs to be 50 because at 50 characters, there we go. At 50, the rest of your title gets cut off on mobile. And so you can put additional information after those first 50 characters, but that additional information will be cut off on mobile. And mobile views is now becoming the lion's share of views on the platform. And so when you go over 50, the rest of your title's gone. Not to mention, when you go over 50 characters in your title, people tend to ram in there lots of extra search terms. They tend to fill up that description with a bunch of garbage, and it makes it difficult for YouTube to understand what your video is actually about if you have multiple search terms. So let's take my phone, for example. I could plug it in, I guess. You see this video right here? Yeah, you guys can see it. You see this video, how to talk to anyone? You see how the entire title is displayed right there? That's because they've used the optimum number of characters in that title, which is under 50, and that video has 1.1 million views. If your title is entirely visible, it makes your video more credible. If there's an ellipsis at the end of your title, it makes your video less credible. When somebody can see everything that a video is about and there's nothing to hide, it makes people just naturally trust that piece of content more than if there's an ellipsis and maybe there's extra crap there. The more simple and the more trustworthy your title looks, the more clicks you're going to get. So if you can fit your title into only 50 characters, you will win. That cannot be, here's a side note, that cannot be 50 all caps characters, because all caps takes up more real estate. And that's the next thing about titles. Do not use entirely all caps, period. Don't do it. I'm gonna type it in all caps. Do not use all caps. All right, and why shouldn't you use all caps? This is direct from YouTube themselves. A statement directly from a YouTube executive said that we have seen that when you do all caps titles, viewers click less often than when you don't use all caps titles. I would also speculate that the YouTube algorithm is going to punish videos that are entirely all caps in their titles versus ones that are not. There's a number of reasons for that. Number one, advertisers do not want to have their content next to stuff that looks trashy. Number two, people feel like they're getting yelled at when you have all caps. And number three, all caps takes up more real estate in the UI that YouTube is designing. And number four, they've seen in terms of their data that titles that are completely all caps are no good in terms of getting a better click-through rate. So the question is, should you put any capital letters in your videos? Are capital letters bad? No, capital letters are not bad. What I would recommend to all of you is to use capital letters from time to time for emphasis words. And that's why I made the title of this video precisely like that. Look at the title of this video. This is the recommended way that I would tell you right now to use all caps. This is I'm giving you let me go ahead and back that out. I'm giving you new information that you've never heard before. That is true. I emphasize that with caps in my titles. And also I'm telling you secrets to YouTube growth that you probably haven't heard before. This is also true. I guarantee you, post in chat if this is the case, I'm probably telling every single one of you guys at least one secret about YouTube growth that you did not know. Post in chat the word yes if that's true. All right, so I emphasized new and I emphasized secret in my title, but I did not put an all caps title here of new YouTube growth secret revealed, the digital drop, and yell at everybody's face. That is not good. Not to mention, had I made this entire title all caps, this part of the title would have been truncated on mobile, maybe, and you wouldn't have been able to see it. So use all caps to emphasize, here's the critical thing, to emphasize the value of your content. The all caps word should emphasize the value of your content. So if the value of your content is that it is something new, perfect. Emphasize new. If the value of your content is that it's the best of something or the worst, emphasize the word worst. If the value of your content is that it is a challenge, then go ahead and put challenge in all caps. If the value of your content is that people are going to be learning something rare, tell them rare in all caps. You guys get the point. Emphasis words on the value of your content is what you should use all caps for. Going completely all caps is a garbage strategy, and it's just flat out not gonna work. Don't think that you can out yell your way to success on YouTube. There are simply too many competitors out there. Madness COC is saying emphasize keywords with all caps. That is also something that you can do. For example, if you're trying to use a search strategy, great point, Madness. If you're trying to do a search strategy and people are searching for, in the bow tie example, you could say how to tie a perfect bow tie. You could do bow tie in all caps because that is the primary keyword that people are searching for. So you could potentially get more eyeballs for that particular keyword when you are trying to stand out in search versus all of your competitors. That is another tactic that you guys can use. All right, I hope that all of these tactics and that all of these strategies were valuable to you. I taught you how to bring a dead video back to life, get guaranteed performance increases, how to systematically get more clicks on your video. This will trigger growth for you like none other. Go back and watch this video multiple times. Catch every single thing here. If you take every single thing that I told you into account and actually do it, I guarantee you will get performance increases. You know why. I explained why. Tell your creator friends about me. Share this video in your community tabs. Share this on Twitter. Help me get the word out. I'm just doing live streams, giving it to you straight like this. every single day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm counting on you creators to get the word out, to help people grow, to help chase the dream, and to help take back control of your digital strategy so that you can do what you love for a living. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Andrew Wall. Now go crush it. Go do the things. Go be successful. Adios, amigos.